All right, perfect. All right, however you want to get it going.
Good morning. Good morning. Hey, everybody that's watching. I wanted to do an interview today with an amazing, amazing person that I've been working with for almost a year now. I can't believe it's been a year or almost a year. This is Perry Jeffries. Perry is actually the president of Diamond Equity Advisors. He actually has a full service financial planning and business consulting firm that is located in Columbus, Ohio. But he doesn't stay in Columbus, Ohio. He has clients all over. And he recently just became certified. What was the certification again that you actually just got?
Yeah. So our firm was recently approved by the state and the SEC as a registered investment advisory firm, one of the few African American owned firms here in the country. We're still researching it, but Sasha, I believe we may be one of maybe 100 or so. So we'll let you know.
That's awesome. And why is that important for people that are looking for somebody who's in the financial field?
Well, I believe you want to find somebody who's going to always have your best interest in mind. And with registered investment advisory firms, we function as true fiduciaries for our clients, which means we're always taking our clients' best interests with in mind with all of our recommendations. So now that we are certified as a RIA firm, a registered investment advisory firm, that's our specialty, is just working with our clients and make sure we take their best interests.
That's awesome. That's very important. So just to give you guys a little bit about Perry, I know quite a bit. Like I said, I've been working with him for a while. But the most important things that I feel is that Perry is actually a family man. He knows exactly where everybody's coming from. He has his business. He's an entrepreneur, but he's also a family man. So he knows that it's very important to keep the balance and at the same time keep the numbers correct so the business is flowing so you can actually spend time with your family. So which is very, very important. So I sat down with my husband yesterday and I put it out on Facebook. I was like, okay, everybody, what are some questions you want to ask a CFO? Ask, because I'll ask him. And I think I didn't get many response, and I think it was because people don't understand what a CFO for business actually is. Like, if you're in the business world, you hear CFO, you know what it is. You're like, oh, yeah, my CFO. So tell us real quick what a CFO for a business owner actually. Tell us the big scale and then how you like not watered it down, but made it smaller for the small business owner versus the big old organization.
Yeah, absolutely. So your CFO for a large corporation is typically going to be your right-hand person to the CEO. So if we start with the top and kind of bring it down, Sasha, your CEO is the individual who's driving the vision of the company, direction that the company wants to go in. But we understand that for a company to grow, your financial systems and your financial management is so key. So your CFO is typically that right-hand person to the CEO, which helps the CEO make strategic financial decisions. Because typically you're going to find two different personality types. Your CEO is going to be the visionary, the big picture. Hey, this is where we want to take the company. And then the CFO comes in and says, hey, based upon the financial data, these are the strategic moves and directions that we need to make. So the CEO and the CFO are typically very close in relationship, because if the business fails, it's usually falling on the CFO for some bad decision making or not advising the CEO strategically. So the two run hand in hand with each other.
So the CFO is basically taking emotion out of the business, because as a business owner and when you're the entrepreneur, nothing but emotions is involved. Nothing but emotions. That's your passion. So it's nice to have someone like you who is, looking out for the numbers. You're in the company, but you pull yourself away from the emotion, and you're able to think logically and say, yeah, I know you want to do that, but the numbers say you're not supposed to be doing that right now, or you can't do it right now. So I had asked my husband, I said, okay, well, coming from someone who's on the outside, because even though I work with you, he doesn't work directly with you. So I wanted to ask him, I said, okay, if you were, if it was a start of our business, what questions about financial would you ask? And at first he was like, I don't know. And I said, just think about it. And I gave him some revenue, profit. Think about that. And then it just started flowing. So I picked the top 3 that he had asked. And it was funny because we've had conversations about this so many times. And then somebody on the outside who doesn't know had asked the questions that we're always talking about. And it's like, how many people have these same questions? So I'm going to give you the first question, and you tell me what fits best for it. So the first one was, how do I pay myself, and what's the right way?
Ah, we get this question all the time. So
Exactly.
if you think about it, and kind of going back to the point you just made, Sasha, which is spot on, where your CFO is that second set of eyes that's not emotionally attached, that can advise and say, hey, let's make decisions based upon this data. Well, kind of pulling this, lifting the hood up and taking a look at it. How, if you're a small entrepreneur, a startup entrepreneur, and you need to make these decisions like, how do I pay myself? You first have to start separating yourself away from the company. Understand the company, your business is just a vehicle to get you to your financial goals. And ultimately, you want to be able to be in a position where, the business can function without you. So in order to do that, you want to start thinking about, okay, if you're in a position within the company, how would you pay yourself for that position in the company? So how we like to take a look at it, we look at it as, five different buckets of where you can put money. So you have your income bucket, is how we set our clients up, and then you have your profit bucket, which is separate. You have your tax bucket, which is your third bucket. You have your owner's compensation, which is how you pay the owner, and then you have your operating expense. So the first thing to do, Sasha, to your question is, when people ask, well, how do I pay myself, is start to separate your personal from your business, because those are actually two separate entities. And that's one of the challenges we see a lot of entrepreneurs struggle with coming out the gate, is they're functioning as just one unit versus separate units. So by just having those separate accounts can help identify and help them, allocate funds to their quote unquote owner's compensation. So they're paid outside of the business. So that's a
Right.
place to start.
So wouldn't you think that everybody already knows to do that? Like this
Absolutely,
thing?
absolutely not. No, because I didn't know to do that. So, when I had a seven-figure real estate portfolio
Right.
several years ago, right? Rents were coming in, and I would collect those rents, deposit those checks, and then that would immediately go into my spending. So that's how I was, paying for meals and going out and vacation
Okay.
and shopping, versus separating those dollars and saying, hey, no, these monies are allocated for the business. This is what I need for the business to operate.
Right.
And then this is how I'm going to pay myself out of that based upon some fixed percentage, right? So, no, everybody doesn't know that. And I think that's one of the biggest challenges, because effectively what you're doing is you're commingling funds. You're bringing in business dollars and using it for personal expenses. And if we go back to the original point you made earlier, is talk about the corporations, would it not
Yeah.
be odd if the CEO of the company was not receiving a salary, but instead taking the revenue that came in from the business and then putting
Oh,
that in
yeah.
his pocket and going out and renting chartering a jet or going on
Yeah.
vacation? You'd be like, what is going on? But so many of us do it on a smaller scale.
Right. So, but this is something that came up from him, and something when we first started working together, I was blown away by. You said profit and you said owner's compensation. Isn't that the same thing?
Most people think it is. So literally, I was doing a strategic phone call with a prospect yesterday, and we
Mhm.
had them submit their numbers, and their profit numbers were their owner's compensation numbers. So again,
Okay.
it's educating folks around how a corporation works and understanding you can still do that on a small scale. So let's think about it for a second. Let's say that you're looking at a Fortune 500 corporation, and that
Mhm.
corporation is paying a quarterly dividend, right? So let's say that you
Yeah.
own stock in this corporation and you receive a quarterly dividend every month. Well, that dividend is coming from a separate profit account. It's not coming from the owner's compensation, because when money comes into that corporation, money goes to a profit account. Money then is paid, money goes to an account to cover taxes, or at least it should be. Um, and the money is going towards, hey, this is what we pay the CEO or the president. And then you have what's this last bucket over here, is like, hey, this is how we run the business. So your
Mhm.
profit is not your owner's compensation. Which, you think about it,
Mhm.
the way the owner or the CEO or the president of the company is paid is totally separate from the profit, right? So
Right.
no, they're not the same. And a lot of times us as small business owners think, oh, well, this was the revenue that came in. We paid the expenses,
Mhm.
the profit, and that's my income. Well, unfortunately, that's not the case, and that can actually lead to some really um, um, not so good tax ramifications and things that can happen
Okay.
as a consequence of that.
Yeah, and then that was actually that kind of tied into the next question that he asked was how long after you start a business This I thought I was so excited by this question. How long after you start a business do you stop putting all your money into the business? When can you make a profit? And I was like, oh, that's such a great question. I can't wait for to ask him so he can explain it to everybody.
No
So great.
doubt. No
So
doubt.
yeah.
So, I mean, super valid question. Okay, so let me kind of rehash that question again. How soon after you start the business can you stop putting all the money into the business and start paying yourself?
All
Well,
right.
let's start here. If you're an entrepreneur and you're starting your business, you
Mhm.
are the most valuable employee, or maybe even the only employee of that
Right.
business. So,
Right.
would you open a brick and mortar and bring in employees to man the cash register or to stock the shelves and not pay them? Absolutely
No.
not. Who will work for you? Nobody will work for you. So you want to start paying yourself immediately because that's the reason you got into business. So that's
Mm.
why it's super important to make sure you have some type of financial system in place because that's what a lot of people think it is, Sasha. It's like, hey, I started the business. I'm going to invest everything back into the business. And
No.
I was working with a prospect actually yesterday. I had a couple phone calls yesterday. Same scenario. Prospect was bringing in about $340,000 year to date, had paid
Mhm.
himself nothing for the year. And it's like, wow, you're paying your staff, you're paying the other chefs, you're paying the other cooks, you're paying the waiters, but you're not paying yourself. That's absolutely crazy. You're the most important employee. So you want to start paying yourself immediately. So that's why it's super important when you start to put those systems together that you
Right.
start to allocate those dollars towards owner's compensation. And granted, it might be a small percentage and it might be a small amount, but you start the habit of understanding, hey, if you, because think about it this way, if you didn't pay your employees and you open a
Right.
brick and mortar, how long would your business stay open? It wouldn't, because you
Wouldn't.
have no employees to work it. So why would you do
Right.
that to yourself? So you have to start paying yourself day one of the business. And a lot of people are like, well, Perry, well, how do you do that? Again, having the right financial systems in place where you can allocate those dollar amounts to those different categories that we talked about earlier.
So what if your expenses leave no money to pay out? What if there's
Right.
nothing left?
Right. So then we need to look at those expenses, right? So that is a telltale sign. So if all the money you have coming in and
Mhm.
100% of that is going out,
Mhm.
that that should be the first red flag right there. Because if
Yeah.
all your money is going out, you're not making any money. Why are you in business, right? And
Right.
everybody kind of likes to pound their chest and say, oh man, I'm grinding, I'm putting all the money back into my business. Well,
Right.
a book I've been reading, and I'll share this with the audience here, Sasha, is how making money is killing your business. And it's the best business read I think I've ever read. And what it discusses is, growing your business from an infant to an independent adult. And in order to do
Okay.
that,
That's a good
yeah,
way to look at it.
yeah, in
Yeah.
order to do that, you have to create, and have some financial systems in place to be able to replace yourself. So you have to be able to pay yourself when you start your business, because that's why you're in business, and that's why
Right.
it's so important to have the right systems in place.
Yeah, I'm trying to explain that to everybody more and more and bring awareness. In 2020, I mean, as you know, I'm transitioning from VA to OBM, which is an online business manager. And in a nutshell, an online business manager, you can't function without systems. There's just no way. And it's interesting to come in contact with people and they tell me, well, I need you to, work with me, but I don't have the finances for it. And it kind of is like, okay, well, if you're trying to scale, where's the money you're putting aside to build? Like, and they're like, well, all my expenses are coming out. Well, that is an expense. Having people on your team is an expense. Having a CFO, having an OBM, having a VA, it's a good place to start. So I'm trying to promote, like, not only financial systems but systems as a whole. And you know what? I understand that because business owners, it's funny because I'm in a position, and you too actually, where we're the entrepreneurs, so we are that dreamer, we are that big thinker, but we also have to take what we know and what we're promoting to other people and implement it in our own company. So
Mhm.
it's for us, it's a little bit easier because we're a systems person. That's what we're doing, that's what we're providing. But for the entrepreneur who's a coach for fitness or a coach for, or a brick and mortar, they're selling, services or products and things like that. That's not their thing.
No.
So, and they keep forgetting you can't, if that's not your thing, you can't do it. You can't. You have to have somebody that can do. You have to have an expert and stop trying. And I did that myself. I wanted to be, because of my personality, I'm like, I can do it all. Just give me a day. I got this. I'll figure it out, but you don't know how to do it. So give me a day. Let's talk in 2 days, a day, 24 hours, whatever. I'll be a master at it.
Right.
Or at least I'll know the important stuff. And
Right.
that works for a certain amount of time. And it's the same thing with your finances. You're like, well, this is my money. This is my business. I can control the finances. I know what I'm doing. As long as there's a zero on my expenses and they're paid, it's okay. Maybe in a year or two, I'll have profit. Or maybe in a
Mhm.
year or something, I'll be able to pay myself. But right now, you got to grind. You got to grind. All the money
Right.
goes into the business. You got to do it. And it's like, oh, all my money goes back in and my business is booming. Is it?
Is it really?
Is it
Is it?
really?
Is it really?
It's not. And that's why I absolutely love what you're doing, because and that we'll talk about your past program, which you see in the background. Why I love what you're doing is because people that are on a smaller scale, me, myself included, anybody under a certain price point, what would you say is that price point as far as revenue is concerned, that's considered small business? Isn't it like anybody under $1 million is considered small
Yeah.
business?
So I was speaking to an entrepreneur. He was doing about 8 figures, and we were talking about what they consider mid market, and kind of
Right.
that mid market space is anything below 10 million in revenue, and then
Right.
kind of getting even below that, if you will. So like if you're not doing 10 million in revenue, you're considered mid market, and I believe that's probably from a million to 10 million, kind of depending on what research you're looking at. Yeah,
Yeah.
but you're spot on, Sasha. It's just kind of just hearing the passion in your voice, and I hope your listeners can grasp this, because I know how passionate you are about systems. A couple things I want to bring up. So there are 3 systems that you need for your business to function, and when you're by yourself, your systems are even more important, because until you're in a position to hire people, you need to have these systems. So the 3 systems that you got to have: you have to have a financial system, which we can talk about later with our past program. You have to have operational systems, so how your business is going to operate. And also too, you need to have marketing systems. How are you going to market your business? So if you kind of look at those 3: financial, operations, and marketing, those are the 3 pillars that a business is going to stand up on. And if you're in the grind, you're starting your business, it's just you, yourself, and I. That's, saying, you're the CEO, CFO, COO, the whole 9. You gotta have systems, because without those systems, you are subjecting yourself to just massive overuse and overwhelm and frustration,
Burnout.
burnout immediately, because you're doing everything. Systems allow you to focus on what you're doing until you can bring in those individuals who can take over those systems or replace those systems. So it's super key, even more so for the small business owner, right? So just kind of hearing what you're saying right there, it's just absolutely spot on, folks. For everybody who's listening to this, you got to have these systems or individuals who can pick up those systems and run, so you can focus on what you're doing. So just so key what you said right there.
And it's funny because a lot of people feel like if they have the right, this, if they have the new shiny thing, if they have this, if they have that, everything will be fine. But if
Mhm.
you don't have a system to utilize that tool, it's a waste.
Let me
It's
uh,
a
let me
waste.
let me share this example. This is a true story. So, conversation with the entrepreneur yesterday, and I asked him. I said, "So, what is your monthly burn rate?" And he said, "Your burn rate." I said, "Yeah. I mean, all of us should know exactly what dollar amount we need to keep our business afloat." So we threw some numbers out there. I think he told me about 4,500, and then he said, "Okay, yeah." And with my restaurant, I spend about $500 to $600 a week. And I said, "Interesting." And then when we put his numbers on paper, because I explained to him, if it doesn't make sense on paper, it will not make sense in real life. And we put his numbers on paper. We found missing, and this is honest to God's truth. We were missing $200,000. I said, okay, this is what you brought in. This is
That's
what
a
you
lot.
paid yourself, little or
Yeah.
nothing. You put nothing away for taxes, and you're telling me that your monthly expenses are only this. So where's this other? It was actually 250,000. Where's this other $250,000? And he got to thinking, and he was like, um, he said, well, I do go back to the store, not just on Monday, but oh, I'm not even thinking about what I'm spending on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, because he's just grinding in that grind mode, Sasha. And he's like, oh, well, I ran out of food. I got to go to the store. Right. So he knew he spent about $500 or $600 on Monday. No idea what he spent the other 5, 6 days of the week, which you saw his light bulb go off. And I said, so this is what we need to do. Let's use some technology, i.e. a system that you can track. So let's get you set up on QuickBooks so that when you go in and you swipe your card for your food, every week you can look and see what's going on. So again, that's using a system. So it's using these systems to help you really identify what you're doing, because literally we were missing $250,000 that he had no idea where it was going. And any
Definitely not.
entrepreneur, yep, and every entrepreneur and every small business owner that we work with we've been able to find thousands of dollars of waste
Mhm.
or money that they were overspending. I had one gentleman say, "Hey Perry, we watched your free training," and I showed my wife. I was like, "Oh my God, I watched this training. I was able to find an extra $4,000 of money that wasn't accounted for."
Wow.
That's significant because a lot
That
of
is
times
that is a lot of money.
that's a lot of money, right? That's Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa. You're good to
Yeah,
go.
that's crazy. No,
Yeah.
it's true. It is so true. And the funny thing about that is because that kind of goes into, that's why I wanted to do this, because yes, we're business. We're business owners. We focus, the past program is mainly business. But what I noticed about your past program, and I'll let you explain it next what it is, and then it'll kind of click for everybody, is I've been able to actually take the information that I got from your past program and actually implement it into my personal life. So it kind of goes, your expenses are your expenses. The word is still the same. It's instead of operating expenses, people don't look at it like that. They look at it more, it's their home expenses, but it is still operating. It's operating your home, operating your family, operating your life. And one thing that I try to do is, and going into 2020, that's going to be my main focus, and not in a callous or a cold way, but to look at my household, not the people, but the household, the bills, what I have to purchase, what I have to, food planning, things like that, and look at it like a business. Because in the personal stance, profit we'll do hand in hand. Business is profit, personal is savings.
Hmm.
Um, Business is revenue, personal is your check, your 9 to 5, your income. If we're talking about operating expenses, we're talking about home expenses, your light bill, your mortgage, your rent, things like that. It's the same thing. And taxes, taxes need to be that security that you need for your home. That you're supposed to have 3 months of expenses. That put that as taxes. It's very important. As much as you want to act like you don't need it, it has to be there. Now, obviously, the IRS is not going to come after you if you don't have savings for your home. But guess what? Something happens, it's going to be bad. It's going to be
Hmm.
bad. So you kind of go hand in hand with them. And that's why I was like, this is for businesses, but this is not just for businesses. This is for life.
It's for
But
life, Sasha.
it is. It really is. And that's what another thing is. If your personal finance is jacked up,
Your
your business
business.
finance is going to be jacked up too, because you start pulling from the business because you're like, well, I don't have enough for this, so I'm going to give myself a little bit more out of the thing. Now my profit's low, and then you wonder why at the end of the year you're like, well, how much did I make this year? Well, honestly, nothing, because you used it when you weren't supposed to for something else.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
it goes hand in hand. And it's funny because you got the financial side, and then on my podcast, we have the more the personal, the internal, the relationships, the people around you, your atmosphere that does the same thing. If that is not, I'm not saying you have to have a perfect life by any means, but if you have people or situations that are near you that are just spewing nothing but negativity, it's not staying in your personal life. Sorry, that's not going to happen. It's gonna overflow into your business. Your business is going to fail. It's a whole thing. So and
No
that's
doubt.
what I try to focus on, is it's all, people are like, oh yeah, it's this business and it's this family.
No doubt.
No, they're one and the same.
No
They
doubt.
you have to separate the finances, but everything you do over here, like you said, your business is a vehicle. So everything you're doing over here in the business is literally to create the life for your personal. It's the same thing. They go hand in hand.
Oh my
So
God. Oh my God, Sasha. So
it's crazy. I'm like, right.
you said something that
It's
was so
crazy.
powerful as I was just listening to you. So you said that, hey, your business is a vehicle to transport you to
Mhm.
your personal goals, right? But the two
Right.
go hand in hand. So if you're in the vehicle and you're drinking
Right.
and driving, you're going to crash
Mhm.
it. So to
Right.
your point, they definitely, you want to separate them so there's two separate entities and understand that.
Yeah.
But to your point, they go hand in hand. The
Yeah.
the piece in here, which again for your listeners, I think is absolute fire information that you're sharing with them. I've said this before. You probably have heard me say this, but your household is the
Hmm.
most important business you'll ever be a part of. And
Right.
sometimes people have a hard time getting their head around it, and you're not being callous or being cold, but
Right.
your household is a business.
It
You have
is.
you have income coming in. You have expenses going out. You need
Right.
to have savings. You got
Right.
taxes to pay. So it is the so if we could go back and we hear a lot of talk about financial literacy, and it's kind of crazy
Right.
because that financial literacy piece, everybody's usually talking about credit and investments and things of that nature. But
Mhm.
before we can even get into that, we have to understand how to manage cash flow. That is an
Right.
entrepreneur skill set. So whether you have a business of your own or it's just you, your family, and your little ones, that is a business, and you have to be able to manage that. And you're just spot on with that when you look at it. So yes, the past program may be geared towards entrepreneurs, but the information should absolutely should not could but should be applied to your personal finances as well,
Good.
because you are your household, whether you're an entrepreneur or not, whether you have you file for
Right.
a tax ID number for your business or LLC or S corp. Let's throw that out the window for a second. Your family is the most
Mhm.
important business or corporation you'll ever be a part of.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
and your spouse are the CEO, the CFO, and the COO, and that's
Yeah.
why when we kind of look at, I saw some stats here recently where, we hear, the stat that, 70 to 80% of businesses fail. That's a hard
Yeah.
fact. That is what it is. But also, too, 70 to 80% of households are a paycheck away from, what I'm
Mhm.
saying, going bankrupt, right? So it's a reason, to your point, if your personal finances are jacked up, please don't fool yourself into thinking that, like, hey, if I start a business, it's going to fix my personal finances. Fix your
Right.
personal finances first and get that information and those systems that you need, because it's going to translate into your business 100% of the time, unless you
Or
go ahead.
they say, if I make more money,
Oh,
if even my finances look messed up, but it's because I'm not making enough money. Tell them frustrates you. Tell them why that frustrates you. Because
Sash,
that
because I hear
quite
that.
often.
I hear that, that's all the time.
Mhm.
If I make more money, if I just make more money. Well, here's the deal, y'all. And again, we're going to apply this because of this podcast. Yeah, we're talking
Right.
about business, but I want you to whoever's listening to this, think about this with your family.
Right.
If and we talk about the vehicle. If you're in a vehicle with a jacked up engine, your engine is
Mhm.
horrible, your transmission is bad, like it is just a jacked up vehicle. You adding more gas to the vehicle is not going
Mhm.
to make it run better. What it's actually going to do is exacerbate the issues that are already there and make the engine blow up faster, because now you have fault in those systems. You add more energy to it, it's just going to speed it up and explode faster. So the case is not adding
You love
more revenue.
faster.
Right, it's just going to blow up faster because it's going to blow up. And so you add,
Yeah.
so the deal is, if you're mismanaging money with the little bit that you have, I mean, this is biblical, right? You know what I'm saying? Going
Right.
into Matthew 25 and the story of the talents. If
Right.
you're mismanaging the little money that you have, please
One.
do not think that by adding more money that is going to fix the issue. You first need to understand how to manage the money that you have. And I'll share this, Sasha, and you know this from just the conversations we've had in the past. I've seen the 7 and 8 figure entrepreneurs. Those are our clients, 6, 7, 8 figure entrepreneurs. And we've lifted up their hood. And, most
Right.
entrepreneurs never get to the point where they even make $45,000 a year. So when you hear of an entrepreneur making 6, 7, 8 figures, you're like, they've
Right.
made it.
You got
Well,
it.
I'm
You
here to
got it.
tell you folks, it's just like, with businesses and personal households, more
Mhm.
money don't mean, and what you see, the big house and the big car and all that means absolute crap. Because when you
Right.
lift up the hood, I've seen a 7 figure business have to close its door and sell all of its assets because the monies have been mismanaged. So making more money is not the key. It's learning how to manage what you currently have. And even if that's a
Right.
small amount of money, having the financial system in place, because you cannot expect to have, to achieve, success or wealth or abundance if you don't have the
Right.
right plate for it. You can't come in with a little saucer talking about I want abundance and your saucer's only this big. That
I
makes no
like that.
sense, right?
Yeah.
So
Like, here, fill up my cup with a whole liter, but that's an 8 ounce. Do it.
it doesn't work. Yeah, yeah. Hook me up. Pour it. Pour up. Pour up.
Do it. Just
No,
let it. It's okay. Just let it overflow. I'll catch it underneath. I'll try to catch it underneath. Do you have another cup? No, I'll find it later.
no. Yeah. So to your point, that's
Like
the
what?
reason. Exactly. We hear that all the time. Well, if I just made more money, or you hear people say, "Oh, you just need better marketing because if you have more marketing, you have more clients coming in." Well, yeah, that may bring in more revenue, but what is happening with that revenue after it comes in? And that's the issue that we see in households and
Right.
families.
So how have you taken all that information, taken your years of experience? Because I mean, how many years of experience do you have?
Well,
Just in general on
yeah,
finances?
yeah, on finances, well, I've been licensed in my industry for 17 years, and then I'm an entrepreneur even further. So you could say combined 30 years as an entrepreneur
Right.
and a financial advisor. Yeah.
So you're on both sides. You've been the entrepreneur, and then you saw an issue, and you're like, nope, I'm not allowing this to happen. I got to create something. And so you created the PASS program, which is I really hope that people can get my sincerity from this, from watching this. This is an amazing program. I remember the first time we started working together and you laid it out for me because, being someone to work with you, I got to know what's going on. I was like, is he serious with this? Like, why doesn't everybody know about this? I'm like, hold on a second. And this is probably, I thought about it. I said, his clients are probably $1 million clients, $1 million clients, which you do have some high paying clients. But then I saw that you were working with, to put it in layman's term for everybody else, the little guy.
Hmm.
And I was like, wait a minute. So this is something that can help, small businesses. Okay, I need to find out more. And I wanted to keep working with you, not only because I felt like we had a good connection, but the message you were putting out was amazing because nobody even wants to touch a business unless they hit a certain number. They don't care. Oh, how much do you make revenue a year? They don't ask how much are your expenses. They're not asking any of that stuff. They just want to know the big number. So they really don't care. So they'll ask the big number and they'll say, okay, well, when you hit 1 million or you hit 2 million, call me. It's like, wait a minute, but I need someone to help me now. So
Hmm.
I'm able to hit 1 million. And, hey, this is what I'm working with. Is this good? Oh, well, you have to speak to an accountant for that. It's like, but
Hmm.
that's why you're an advisor. This is why I'm talking to you.
Hmm.
So I love the program that you made. So if you want to explain to everybody basically the bones of the program and how it can help people big and small with their businesses, I'll send it over to you.
Yeah, absolutely. So our PASS program is a acronym short for the Profit Accelerator Small Business System. And before I kind of go into some of the details with it, yes, this is good for the business who's been around for some years and doing, 6, 7 figures. And yes, it's good for the startup. And yes,
Right,
pay close attention. It's good for the person who's not even an entrepreneur or a traditional entrepreneur in the sense of having a business, but want to understand how to manage their finances. So
right,
what we when we put this together, it was put together a lot from my experience, and I'll share this, in complete transparency. It's not because I'm this financial guru or genius. It's because I made some dumb decisions in the past.
right,
But those experiences, when I tell my basketball team, my fourth grade girls basketball team, we either win or we learn. We never lose. So kind of having those experience, I had a seven-figure a real estate portfolio, and the operative word is had. 26 units at about $4 million worth of real estate, generating a ton of cash flow, and it all went up in smoke in a matter of time. And I can say, oh well, I lost all of that in 2007 and 2009 because of the great stock market crash. But that's BS, because there were some companies who made it through the stock market and the real estate crash. Why didn't my company make it through? Well, it's because I didn't have a system for managing the money. So, when, yeah. So how this program came about, Sash, was literally when I went independent as a financial advisor, and 80 to
Mhm.
90% of my clients were entrepreneurs. They didn't need a good stock idea, or hey, what's a good annuity product, or an
Right.
ETF, or none of that. They were entrepreneurs. Before we could
Right.
even think about accelerating the profit, if you will, we
Right.
have to have a system in place for the business to be profitable, or how to manage the cash flow the right way. So what we did is we took those combined years of real estate, investing, lending, banking, the whole nine, and what we created was a 8-step system. Easy to follow, because we understand that a lot of entrepreneurs or business owners, or people for that matter, don't like dealing with math and don't really understand the
Mhm.
numbers that they need to understand.
Yeah.
So what we've done is broken that down. It's just an 8-step process, super easy to follow, where it's like, go step one, don't go to step two till you complete step one, and then step two, step three, and then at the end of that step on step eight is where you can really now take the profit that you have, and you can accelerate it. But it's all about having a system in place, and that's easy to follow. So that's what we put together. So what we did was
Right.
this. We had so much success with one-on-one clients, because we've been doing this for a couple of years now, working one-on-one with clients, being their what we call a fractional CFO. But we wanted to make this available to the clients who couldn't pay us, you know, 4 5 grand, 4 or 5 grand to work with us, or 10 grand a year, whatever the case may be. So what we created was a pass membership. And with
Right.
that membership, when we back into the numbers, is less than what most people are paying for their gym membership. And we're talking about a lifetime membership. So now they have
Mhm.
access to not only all of the 8 steps in an online form, where they can go back and review the videos at their own pace. So if they want to implement it on themselves, they can do that. But also, too, what we're looking to create is a community of entrepreneurs, because we can't do this by ourselves. One of my clients said it best. If you think entrepreneurship is not a team sport, you are going to fail. We
Right.
all go through frustrations growing our businesses, our highs and lows. Even the entrepreneur CFO over here, I do it as well. But creating an environment of entrepreneurs where, one, we're using the same financial system, which means I know all of us are profitable in our businesses, but also,
Right.
two, just to be able to support each other. So in that past membership program, you have the 8-step system, but also, two, you have the community. And then what we
Right.
did within that is now providing access to everything that I know, in a form of weekly mastermind sessions, where you can bring any of your questions you have, hear the other questions for other people, and then be able to go back and review those recordings. So what we're really creating is a community, a membership of entrepreneurs, but not with a whole bunch of fluff and a whole bunch of BS, because our system is very crystal clear. Step one through step eight. If you follow this, you're gonna have improved cash flow, more profit in your business, and we guarantee that, because we've had a 100% success rate for people who follow it. So that's the program, Sash.
So, why do you think people hesitate to get into the program? Because it's
Yeah.
a great program.
You know what, Sash? I've racked my brain on this a couple times, and I believe it comes down to a couple things. I believe it's the same reason people hesitate in going to the doctor, or the reason
Mm,
people hesitate going to the financial advisor. Sometimes
different.
you're like, it's the embarrassment, the shame, like, oh my gosh, because I hear this all the time. Hey, Perry, when I get my finances together, I'm going to come see you. And I'm like,
That's
well,
right.
yeah, but that's what we do, is get your
Yeah.
finance, help you get. So understand, people here, this is a no judgment zone. If we really lift up the hood and kind of look at everybody here, there are very few people, far and few between, who got this thing figured out. We have to figure it out together. And just sometimes having a second set of eyes to look at your stuff is key. So it's kind of like when people say, oh, when I get my finances together, I'm gonna come see you. So that's like going to a doctor and be like, hey, I know I have some cancer, But when I get this cancer remission at home, I'm gonna come see
Yeah.
you so you can hook up, take care of the rest. That
Or
sounds
the
absolute
gym. The
right.
gym.
Or
Well,
it's
I'll go to the gym when I'm in shape.
when I'm in shape. When I
Because
get in shape, I'm gonna go to the gym.
yeah, and I know that firsthand because you don't in your head you're like, oh, I don't want to be at the gym looking like I don't go to the gym, but that's literally the point.
That's the point
So
of going. Yeah.
it's the same thing with the finances. Well, I don't want to go to Perry with my finances all jacked up, but that's the point. You're coming to me because your finances are jacked up.
Yep.
You need to come to me because obviously, and this is a saying that I love that I was told many times. Anybody that I'm around that is successful, you don't know what you don't know.
You don't know
So
what you
when
don't know.
you think exactly when you think that's like saying, oh, I don't need a trainer because I'm a pro. Well, if you're a pro, then why are you not in shape already?
Right.
Oh,
Right.
well, I don't need a CFO because I got this. I know money. I can control my own money.
Hmm.
Oh, can you? So then show me where your profit is. Well,
Show me.
I gotta wait till everything's paid. Mm,
No, you know what
no.
I'm saying? No, because go back to your point. These corporations have to show their numbers every quarter. So every quarter you should
Right,
know exactly where you stand. But it's the same way with your
right,
health. How many men, you know what I'm saying, especially in the minority community, right, never go to the doctor until it's too late, right? It's the same
right.
way with your finances, folks. So understand, all of us
Yeah,
are fighting a battle in some way, shape, or form, right? It's
right.
okay to come in completely transparent and completely humble and be like, yo, I don't understand this. What is it that I don't understand? I'll share this even with the group here. And I know, Sasha, you believe in coaching and things of that nature. Even me as, quote unquote, the entrepreneur CFO, I hired a coach. I hired a coach when I looked up and I saw my business 1 year was down 30% year over year. And I was working harder than I had ever worked before. I was busier than I ever have been before and was making 30% less money. I'm like, what the hell is going on? And what it came down to, you know, I needed a second set of eyes. So I went out and I hired a coach. And for 90 days worth of coaching, I paid him 10 grand. And folks would look at that and be like, what? I was like, yeah, but he 5x'd my business. Not
Right,
1x, not 2x, five, almost 6x my business. And what he did, he came in with a fresh set of eyes and said, you know what, Perry, you're going in the right direction. Just make a little shift to the left. And if you think about it, even
right.
from a surgery standpoint, if you're, if you got a neurosurgeon performing brain surgery, a little millimeter shift to the right or the left could save or kill you. And that's how it
Yeah,
is in
yeah,
business and finances. You might be doing the bulk of the stuff might be right, but you just might need somebody to say, man, if you just move to the left just 1 millimeter, it can make all the
right,
difference in the world for you.
right. Well, Perry, do me a favor, tell everybody where because they're gonna need to get in contact with you. They have to. And can they call you without signing up, or do they have to sign up first, or how does that work?
Well, here's the deal. I will first tell them definitely go visit our website, perryjeffries.com. So that's
Mhm.
www.perryjeffries.com. Go to perryjeffries.com. We have our free no cost training for entrepreneurs who want to increase revenue, pay off debt, and improve cash flow. Totally free resource.
Right.
And on there, we have other free resources for you as well. We have checklists, we have our YouTube videos, all of that's readily accessible to you.
Yeah.
And then on there as well, if you decide like, you know what, I'm ready to take this step, I highly recommend that you book, one of our no cost free 45-minute strategy calls, just for us to,
Uh-huh.
lift up the hood with you, take a look, and it's kind of like going to get an oil change. Let's lift up the hood. Let's see what we need to
Diagnostic.
adjust. Yeah, do a little diagnostics check and be able to give you
Mhm.
some value. And then if it makes sense for us to work together, then it makes sense. But ultimately, you're going to walk away with crazy value. And we have a lot of value, like I said, on that website, just free resources for you. So perryjeffries.com. And then if you're ready to, take the step forward, go to that same website. There's a link on there where you can book a 45-minute strategy call with us. And then we'll take it from there. And then definitely join our entrepreneur community. We have that community on Facebook.
Yeah.
There's no
Yeah.
charge to get into that. Come in, we drop gems periodically, we build with each other, we crack some jokes, and just be a part of a community of other entrepreneurs who are just like you. We're all on the grind, at different levels, but we're all on the grind and we can all learn from each other.
But it's good that everybody's at different levels because you need to learn from people that have already been where you are. You
Facts.
have to. So I will add everything into the description, and then on your end, wherever you're going to post it, you add into the description how they get in contact with you. But is there anything you want to add that maybe I missed to ask you before we finish our interview?
Well, Sash, first, let me commend you for doing what you're doing. Having these candid, real talk conversations. And like you said, we're all about our family. We discuss our family all the time. And that's why, we do the shit we do. That's why we grind the way we grind is
Right,
because,
right.
I'm,
It is
I'm
what
not, yep,
it's
I'm
why
not,
we do it.
yeah, I'm not grinding. I'm not grinding. I think Dame Dash said, I'm not grinding for my first name. I'm grinding for my last name. Right. So, first
Right.
of all, commend you for what you're doing. And no, I really can't think of anything. I think you covered a lot. And more importantly, got the conversation going. Couple things
Yes.
you don't know what you don't know. Get a second set of eyes to look at what's going on.
Mhm.
Entrepreneurship is a team. And probably the most important thing, honestly, is understand that whether you
Right.
started a business or not, your household is absolutely the most important business you'll ever be a part of. And learning
Right.
those entrepreneurial skill sets and understanding how to manage cash and credit and investments and things of that nature is what your family needs. It's not what you should do, it's what you need to do. So whether you
Right.
use me as a resource or somebody else, get into it.
Right. Yeah, thank you, Perry, so much for doing this interview, especially today. If you guys don't know, it is Christmas Eve, and this was so important. I told him, I said, I'm good to do it. You're good to do it. We have to tell people
Yeah,
we're
no doubt.
doing it. I
No
said,
doubt.
especially at the end of the year, going into 2020. Even if you just watch this interview and that's it, you have to pay attention to your numbers. You set up goals. You set up what are those New Year's resolutions? Make New Year's resolutions for your finance. Stop. It's like money's a dirty word. It's a dirty topic. And when it comes to marriage, when it comes to business, when it comes to family, you don't talk about money because you don't want to put it out there that you don't know what you're doing. If you knew what you were doing with money, you would be in money. You would be in finances. You don't know that. That's not your thing. You're a stay-at-home mom. You're a dad that works a 9 to 5. That's that's what you know. You don't know the finances. So guess what? You have to have somebody to be there to support you. And I hate that term, solopreneur. Like, you're not doing it by yourself. That
Mm-mm.
is such a it's a term that people they take it too personal, and they're like, well, solopreneur, I'm by myself. Okay, well, guess what? Your bank account's gonna be by themselves too.
But
So
facts, facts. We can't do it by
you have to
ourselves.
have a team. Exactly. So Perry, I appreciate you taking the time. Our families are very important to us, so this meant a lot to actually be able to interview. People need to know what you're doing. They have to, because you're looking out for the small business. You're not looking out for the corporation. Not that you wouldn't, but that's not your focus. You could easily do that. You have so much, but you made the choice to help people get to that point. You want to help people get to that point. You're trying to it's that if you're a leader and you're not a boss, it's different. A leader is going to lift everybody up with them. They're not afraid to they're not afraid of somebody else's success. A boss is like, do this, do that, this is what you have to do, go do it. Did you do that? Nah, but it's okay.
Mhm.
So I commend you for that, and I appreciate you taking the time. Thank you for watching, everybody, and if you have any comments or you want to get a hold of Perry through my page, let me know. Or if you're watching from Perry's end and you want to talk to me and maybe you have something you want to add to the podcast as a small business owner, you don't have to be an expert in your field. We want all the information we can get. We want to talk to everybody. Contact me and vice versa. So thank you, Perry, and have a wonderful Christmas.
Peace. Merry Christmas. Talk to you soon.